Yeah, I see a lot of y'all giving hall passes to your favorite fighter. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm wondering why people are not matching up your favorite fighter with their kryptonite. Ladies and gentlemen, the welterweight division, we already know that. Jaron Ennis is the unified champion, the Ring Magazine lineal champion. But we all know that Gary Antoine Russell is his kryptonite. But I don't hear a lot of y'all trying to shame Jaron Ennis to fight Gary Antoine Russell, of Gary Antoine Russell moving up to face Jaron Ennis. I don't hear a unification bout with Richardson Hitchins versus Gary Antoine Russell, as we all know. Gary Antoine Russell is Richardson Hitchins' kryptonite as well. See, in the sport of boxing, we like to shame certain fighters with their rivalry in the amateurs, which, just was beating them. For example, a lot of people in the boxing community like to shame Keyshawn Davis with Andy Cruz. Why? Because what happened in the amateurs, right? Well, that's one thing about I like the foreign fighters as well. They get a lot of props because of what they did in the amateurs. But here in America, we don't give the guys that did their thing in the amateurs, who represented USA boxing and the Olympics and things of that nature, win Pan American Games, win the Olympic trials, win the world games. In America, we don't give them that type of praise and power. But with foreign fighters, shout out to Usyk, shout out to Vasily Lomachenko, shout out to Rigondeaux, shout out to Andy Cruz as well, just to name a few. But why is it that nobody truly is matching up Gary Antoine Russell or your favorite fighter with Gary Antoine Russell? Hey, a unification bout with Teofimo Lopez and Gary Antoine Russell was a good fight as well. A lot of people ain't mentioning that fight. Maybe because, let's see. I just seen an interview recently. I think it was in the Boxing Voice, Bill Haney, and they mentioned Gary Antoine Russell. You see how like mad and like you see the switch up where Bill Haney got so defensive. You know why? It's because in 2016, Gary Antoine Russell was a top dog in the world of boxing. When we talking about these guys like Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Boots Ennis, Shakur Stevenson, Gary Antoine Russell, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson was the guy. Look, Teofimo Lopez won the Olympic trials. Shakur Stevenson went to the Olympics. And Gary Antoine Russell represented USA Olympic for the junior welterweight, right? We all know that Gary Antoine Russell was beating up Boots, beating up Richardson Hitchins, beat Richardson Hitchins like 4 times in the amateurs. Why Richardson Hitchins doesn't mention Gary Antoine Russell that much? Why Boots doesn't mention Gary Antoine Russell that much? Let's not forget also Teofimo Lopez grew up in training with the Russell family, if y'all didn't know. Shout out to, and rest in peace, Gary Antoine Russell Sr. Gary Russell Sr. One of the great coaches. He put a great teacher, a great coach for people in the community, and also his sons. Gary Antoine Russell, for the fans, it may not be, this boogeyman, but let me tell you like this. He's the boogeyman of the psyche, probably, of these fighters. Everybody knows Tweezy. Teofimo Lopez knows Tweezy. Richardson Hitchins knows Gary Antoine Russell. Boots Ennis knows Tweezy, Gary Antoine Russell. Everybody know Gary Antoine Russell. And it seems like people doesn't want to mention the name nor match them up. He's the real boogeyman. In this generation, when we like to crown 4 kings and stuff like that, he's the real boogeyman. He's the real. He'll give anybody work. He'll give Devin Haney work. He'll give Tio work. He'll give Boots work. He'll give Richardson Hitchins work. He'll give Javante Tan Davis work. If Shakur Stevenson want to move up, he'll give him work. If Keyshawn Davis want to move up, he'll give him work. Gary Antoine Russell is the boogeyman of this class. Should be praised. And I know that these guys are late bloomers and stuff like that. Gary Antoine Russell, yeah, did have a split decision loss versus Puello. In my opinion, it could have gone either way. He didn't look at his best, but Puello is also a good champion. Look, he beat Sando Martin as well. You know what I'm saying? Puello was a champion and highly respected in the 140-pound division. But all these guys know of Gary Antoine Russell. People know, if that's your favorite fighter, Boots, you know who Gary Antoine Russell is. If Richardson Hitchins is your favorite fighter, you know. Why are these guys reluctant to mention his name? What? Because he doesn't have, and shout out to rest in peace his dad. His dad wasn't outspoken like that, and you know what I'm saying, trying to be like these other fathers and stuff like that. I'm not saying, and look, fatherhood is prominent in the sport of boxing. Bill Haney does his thing. Teal Sr. does his thing. Floyd Schofield does his thing. Virgil T. Sr. does his thing and things of that nature. Shout out to all the fathers. You already Henry Garcia. Shout out to all the fathers and stuff like that in the sport of boxing. Again, fatherhood is prominent in the sport of boxing. It's time that we add Gary Antoine Russell in the mix. Maybe the fan base, you don't want to see your favorite fighter with Gary. You don't want to see Boots Ennis with Gary Antoine Russell. See, we're talking about Teofimo Lopez versus Boots Ennis, and that's on the table for Jaron Boots Ennis, and I believe that he's gonna duck and avoid Teofimo Lopez, who could be the most accomplished fighter in his resume if he does take this opportunity. I don't think Boots Ennis really want to see Gary Antoine Russell. I don't think truly nobody want to see Gary Antoine Russell, because when Gary Antoine Russell's in his A game, he's just as good as all of them. When Gary Antoine Russell is in his A game, just like if everybody was on it, he's just as good as all of them. He don't got hype behind him. Again, he don't have that promoter to speak for him, and he don't have a loud father to speak for him. His brothers is not that loud as well, very respectful and very reserved. It's time for people to yell Gary Antoine Russell, and you're going to see the nerves be pinched, just like it was pinched by Bill Haney when he heard the name Gary Antoine Russell. Ask each and every one of them about Gary Antoine Russell, and what you're going to get is a serious, respectful answer from Hitchins, Boots, Tio, Shakur, Keyshawn, Tank. Everybody respects Gary Antoine Russell, and it's time for the whole boxing world to put respect on Gary Antoine Russell's name, because he's really the real boogeyman in the 140-pound division and in the 147-pound division, because he's going to be moving up, because he's going to be moving up real soon. That's the fight I did a video a long time ago. I said, the kryptonite to Boots. Boots can't run it. We like to say Boots and Virgil. Matter of fact, Virgil was fighting in the lower division in the amateurs and stuff like that, and Virgil Ortiz even got beaten by Ryan Garcia in the amateurs. But Gary Antoine Russell was that guy. And shout out to also Clarissa Shields. She said in the last interview that she had in reference to Jaron Boots Ennis fighting Teofimo Lopez, and she mentioned the Gary Antoine Russell. And I've been telling y'all, I've been fighting the amateurs. Y'all already know this channel, Punch Drunk Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Moonshine himself. Gary Antoine Russell is the boogies of all boogeyman. Let me know what y'all think, man. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Why nobody's mentioning his name? And who do you want to see Gary Antoine Russell fight next? On a unification bout with Teofimo Lopez, a unification bout with the winner of George Camboso and Richardson Hitchins, moving up and facing Jaron Boots Ennis. I think if Gary Antoine Russell calls out Jaron Boots Ennis, be loud about it. People gotta respect it, especially Jaron Boots Ennis. Let me know what y'all think, man. That'll be a 50-50 fight. Every fight with Gary Antoine Russell was a 50-50 fight. Mark my words. Every fight with Gary Antoine Russell, with either of the champions, any unification bouts, or the Four Kings, or whatever you want to call it, is a 50-50 fight. Let me know what y'all think, man. Shout out to all the modern day warriors and modern day gladiators, the one that put their life on the line for pure entertainment. Y'all already know we break these down unbiasedly, logically, and objectively. Love y'all. God bless. And on to the next.